Assalamu alaikum, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you guys come across us. Whenever that may be, we are absolutely ecstatic to have you here today. Welcome to another edition of My Cave, where we have 6 or so gentlemen sitting around a small table, speaking into one mic.
Or so. Sound says half.
Or so, yeah.
But to be honest with you guys, it's Saturday, 8 a.m. on this lovely Saturday in Edmonton, but I could not have chosen a better group of guys to be sitting with. So without further... I know, guys, I'm lovable. So without further ado, let's introduce this all-star lineup. My name is Cher. I'm 24 years old.
Really quick. Do you believe in love after life?
I have no love for you in this life. Let alone the afterlife.
I looked at him in the eyes before I
knew
said
it was coming. He set
I looked
me
at
up.
him in the eyes, and
It was a
his
booby trap.
eyes said, "I have a good comeback." So I was really.
Look, I told that to my mom, and she was laughing. She was like laughing so
There,
hard
that's
because she
what
knows what that means.
That's
the
what
only
I'm
time
here for.
Zucky's
That's
mom
what-
has laughed at his jokes.
Oh my god! All right, yeah.
So without further ado, let's introduce this all-star roster.
Yeah, go ahead. My name is Atif. I'm 17. I used to be host of a very nice podcast, and then I got kicked off for being too vulgar. Not really. I made one inappropriate joke once.
It's stuck.
That's me, and I make Zeki's mom laugh apparently.
Yeah. Okay. So my name is Zeki. I'm 24, and I am classic nerd. No, I am an aspiring Pokemon master.
Expired.
Expiring Pokemon master. Expiring out of love.
Fresh until February 18th, 2016.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when the new Pokemon game comes out. Then I get renewed. No, I'm kidding.
So
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Move on. I'm gonna keep talking otherwise.
My name is Mohammed. I'm 20, and I recently got back in the gym, so I'm feeling great.
Glad to
You
hear
look
that, man.
great.
Glad to
Thank
hear
you.
that. So you're staying away from that Star Wars, I see.
Pristine.
Never,
Oh, I
was never gonna
will
get near it.
take that back.
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Aaron. I am 27. And Atif's telling me to talk louder, so I'm going to talk louder this podcast.
Nice.
Beautiful.
All right. So as mentioned earlier, it is 8 in the morning, but for many of the gentlemen here, the day didn't start here. Well, for me, it did. I literally rolled out of bed, got into this chair, and started speaking into this mic. But for some of the more proactive gentlemen, they had something called an usra this morning. And I know we have mentioned an usra a couple of times in our podcast, but it's an important part of my week, and I think I'm going to go over it again. So it's basically where you meet up with a close group of guys, you discuss important things like values, morals, characters, and things like that. Now, my usra falls on Saturday morning, so I would actually love to hear what you guys learned today.
You mean?
Today, what do we do?
Oh, after the podcast.
You guys have it after the podcast.
No, we have it before. You have it after.
No, I meant mine are on Sundays.
Oh, you said Saturday.
Did I say Saturday?
Share.
Wake up, Sharon.
Share.
My
Get on the
goodness.
game.
Guys,
only rolled out
guys,
of
my
bed.
Tim Hortons is not even opened yet. This is
Get
how
on
a
that.
Canadian starts his morning, guys.
What do we do for All-Star? No,
We're actually what we're doing.
no, wait, this is funny.
Okay, fine.
Out of all the surahs in the Quran for us to be reading,
Yeah.
guess which one Zaki picks? If you were to pronounce it without like proper pronunciation, it sounds like this: Surah Marriage. It's marriage. This guy chose the only one that sounds like marriage.
He has marriage on his
Someone-
I just
Someone
what?
marry
I
Zeki.
picked it.
podcast viewers.
I'm sorry.
We're not being subtle here.
Okay,
Someone
so
marry
what was the
Zeki.
basic? What's the?
Okay, so what we're doing this, like we're making this a month or bi-monthly thing. Every other month we're going to go. Well, every other month we're going to go to the graveyard as an Usra, and then but in between the months in between we're going to go to every single masjid for Fajr in the city.
Oh,
so we
awesome.
started with MCE this time,
Inshallah.
which is like kind of central near university, and then we're going to start going to the other masjids for Fajr.
It's a great
Sounds
idea. I
pretty
think we kind of should do
People
that
should steal
too.
their idea.
Oh,
We should steal their idea.
Steal-
way to tell them.
Yeah, I know, right?
We have to go.
I told the
we
podcast,
have to-
everyone knows.
No. Ours is Saturday. Theirs is Sunday. We can go to the same masjid they're gonna go
No,
to.
that
We're
is
like,
a
you know
great
what?
idea.
we're the real.
I-
If anyone else comes and they say they're from Mac, don't believe them. They're burglars.
I'm gonna create a sequel. I'm gonna create a sequel to Star Wars called Usra Wars.
Oh my.
That's a terrible joke, Cher. Terrible.
Why are you calling
Cher
me
is
out on
making
that?
Star Wars related jokes. I'm very afraid.
Should I leave that to
I'm very
somebody else?
afraid.
Should I leave that to
Cher-
somebody
Tell
else?
that to Farouk.
Cher's very constantly been the only dude in the group that's like, ew, Star Wars.
I have strong beliefs.
Very strong beliefs.
You converted him.
Choke you.
Look how hostile they get every time we talk about Star Wars. That's why I stay away
Yo,
from
it's December. What is it? 4th, 5th?
it. 5th.
12 days, guys.
Yep.
To what?
Oh,
What
yeah.
do you mean till?
Okay, so I
have
am going.
finals.
We booked. me and Farouk and like 5 other guys, we booked ticket, and Aaron is coming
Yeah,
too.
thanks for the.
You guys booked like a month ago, didn't you?
Yeah, no, yeah, something like whenever the tickets open, we booked opening night tickets for Star Wars: A New Hope.
Oh, cool, man.
A New Hope.
Force Awakens.
Wow.
Oh, I'm so
Oh
sorry.
my God, no one is on the game today. This is gonna
You know-
be a terrible.
Oh my
Okay, we
goodness.
need to stop talking about Star Wars. We had a podcast.
All right.
Totally,
Move
totally
on.
talking about Star Wars. It was
Move on,
last
move on.
Okay.
week's episode 2. If you want to listen to that.
Yes,
Attack of the
excellent.
Clones.
So,
Anyway.
you know what? It's that time again. What's going on in the world today?
Sorry.
Sorry, I had to steal your line there, Arthur. You're gonna have to start patting
No,
me
that's-
before
that's
I
fine.
steal him and take credit.
No. But you know what? It's been a rough couple weeks. Like things bad keep happening. That's what's been happening in the world.
Ever since we started the podcast, things have been happening.
You know what? I
think
think
we should stop.
bad things always happen, but
Yeah.
we, you know,
No, but these bad things do always happen. But the things that are happening now don't happen this often. Like shootings in the U.S., whatever. Like that happens a lot. No, not whatever. Whoa.
well, not whatever.
Whoa.
Actually,
but it's very frequent.
you know what? They actually just hit their 355th mass shooting in the United States, which means
In the-
that's making it more mass shootings than the days we have passed in the year so far.
355 this year?
Yeah.
Yep, 2015.
What's a mass shooting? What's
More than
criteria?
4.
More than 4
What?
people shot. More than
I thought it was
four
like
people
more
shot
than
per event.
2. Yo.
No,
That's-
more than 4 people shot per event.
And is
That's
this
one
a
I
thing.
don't
consistent
mean-
thing that
no.
goes on each year?
Sorry?
Is this a consistent?
Well, they have a law, but 355 is
That's
like
just
next
this year.
level even for the United States.
More
Actually, they
than
had
last year.
185,000 scans for a gun license on Black Friday alone.
And that's not even the full number because there's a lot of shady ways to get a gun in America. Because
Exactly.
The laws are so lax.
Yeah.
Let's talk about gun control.
Okay, we will. We actually have
fine.
we have a little excerpt from the New York Times here as well, so we'll get into that. But basically, we all know that there was a mass shooting that happened late Friday in San Bernardino, California, where 14 have died and 21 left wounded. I would just like to extend my condolences to all the families that are affected. That's
My condolences too.
his condolences to
Everyone's.
So according to the news, it is an act of terrorism. Apparently, the shooter, Tafshin Malik, had pled allegiance to ISIS leader on Facebook because apparently that's a legitimate way to pledge allegiance to things.
Also, it's only an act of terrorism because of his name. If it was like
Tafshin, yes.
What's the name of the girl, by the way?
Tafshin Malik is
Yeah.
the girl, and then I actually don't recall the guy's name there. But
Guy's name is
Farouk?
Yeah, Syed Farouk.
Okay, so according to CNN, officials did not actually mention how they knew it was Malik who made the post since it was under a different name. So the shooting may have been inspired by ISIS, and I guess the story is Malik and her husband opened fire at a holiday party and killed themselves in a shootout with the police. So I guess in response to the shooting, we can talk a little bit about gun control and the situation itself. In response to the shooting, the New York Times ran an editorial on the gun debate on the front page of Saturday's print paper. It's a moral outrage and a national disgrace that civilians can legally purchase weapons designed to kill people with brutal speed and efficiency.
Totally, and I just looked this up while you were talking.
Yeah.
So here I have it's called it's a list, and the title is "Total Fatal Rampage Shootings Incidents Since 2009 to 2013." So at number 1 we have any guesses?
I can
Merc.
see it, so...
America. United States of America with 38. In second place we have Germany. Any guesses? How many?
30.
First place is 38. Second place is 3.
Wow.
Yeah, and then we have 2 and
That is
1
a
as the
huge
rest of
gap.
them, which is a huge gap. So something's wrong, 100%.
Yeah.
It's not even. It's so mind-boggling when you hear people like, no, we need more now we need more guns.
Well, yeah, because their excuse is had they had more guns, they would have been able to retaliate sooner.
Have you had more guns? You could have killed more people as well.
Yep.
We don't need more deaths. It's like the last thing we need.
Well, I think that's what's interesting, at least from my point of view, with this incident of the mass shootings, is that the message in the media actually seems to be focusing quite a bit on gun control, and not as much as Muslims are terrorists. Now it's bringing in the whole issue of gun control. I mean, of course, Donald Trump is going to be like, now we need to monitor the mosques even more and badge all the Muslims, just like I said I was going to do. But it's interesting now that the message and the discussion is tied quite a bit to this issue of gun control.
Yeah, I think that the whole guns are so ingrained in the fabric of America that
Well, it's their Second Amendment as well.
it's
So
the
I
Second
can
Amendment. Yeah, but then I think that when you have that kind of mentality, then it automatically leads to proliferation of guns in society. And I just don't agree with this like whole this like fixation on everyone being able to carry guns. And like we've seen the logical progression and like where it's ending. I don't know if it's ending, but it just doesn't lead to anything good.
You can see it as if like their argument is, it's our Second Amendment right to bear arms. This is how it's always been. This is how it's going to be.
Did God give you that Second Amendment right? Like, who did it?
But this is the same argument like the Prophet ﷺ was like given, like, we worship idols. This is how it's been for so long. You know what I mean?
This is the way that we've always done it.
Yeah,
So why should we
and
change it?
it's just because it's how you're always doing it doesn't mean it's right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, I mean, so what's the laws in Canada for it? Do you guys know?
It's
Like for
I have
gun
no
control?
I'm not sure. We
I
know
bet-
it's definitely harder to get guns. I mean, it even says in the article
way
that
harder.
It's way harder in Canada.
America's elected leaders offer prayers for gun victims and then callously and without fear of consequence reject the most basic restrictions on weapons of mass killing. So, I mean, it seems like it's very, very easy there compared to other places. And, I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, right? So I think we're just going to search up some of the restrictions here in Canada.
I mean,
But
you guys can keep talking.
There's actually if there's like a public survey done in America, and actually it's about 87% of the American public, statistically, anyways, they are for more gun control and like they want more regulations and more background checks and all that stuff.
See,
but
the problem with that is the NRA. You know what the NRA is?
Yeah, but the thing is that so that was the NRA, the National
National Rifle Association.
National Rifle Association. But these guys, they have like the Republicans most of the Republicans in their pocket.
A lot of the Democrats as well. Like
No, but then the fact is that when the legislation, like a few days after the shooting happened, legislation was going to get passed through through Congress to be able to regulate guns more, gun control more, and they shot this bill down, even though 87% of the American public is for more gun control.
what I don't know if this is 100% true. This is honestly from word of mouth. It's just the NRA has a ton of money. I know that for sure. Right? This is confirmed. The NRA has a ton of money. So what happens is if you go against the NRA, they put all their money into literally ruining your life if they can. So they'll like look up your backgrounds, everything, put private investigators on you, all this, like the whole like the works, right? It's like it's very tough to go against the NRA when you're in a public eye. That's what I've been told, anyways.
I think another interesting thing about on social media, a lot of politicians, I remember there's actually a lot of backlash against them with this particular incident because, a lot of them were tweeting out, our thoughts and prayers are with the victims, our thoughts and prayers are with the victims, our thoughts and prayers are with the victims. And then people just got like, okay, well, what are you guys actually doing about it? Like,
Right.
like you're just saying thoughts and prayers. Like, these are pretty much like empty, empty platitudes, right? And like, I want to kind of get your guys' thoughts on this. So the New York Times, did you see the New York Times article on this? The front page of it. Yeah. It's got like all those tweets and it says like, everyone's like, our thoughts and prayers, God bless the family and all this stuff. And then it says on there, and it's like, God isn't fixing this. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, we ourselves believe that you can't just, for example, you can't make dua and expect something to come. You have to actually have action with it as well. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing is they're just making an empty prayer with no actions coming along with it. So that's the problem.
Yeah, and that pretty much is bang on like what I thought too. It's like, it's kind of two-pronged in the sense that, like it requires a sense of action on our part, especially on the part of these like leaders who have the power to make this change and who have the power to actually like, do something meaningful instead of just, throwing out a tweet and saying, thoughts and prayers and whatnot.
And have you noticed, like, as like now Barack Obama is getting like to his last year of being president, and he's become a lot more like vocal and a lot less censored. You know what I mean? Now he's saying things like he should be saying, in my opinion, right? Where he's like this, like you can see that it blows his mind too. Where he's like, this shouldn't be happening, and the fact that it's happening so frequently, and I'm here like almost every week saying my condolences. I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
And it's like when you hear like your president of your country say that, like
bro,
like what?
You elected him as the leader, and then he's saying that he's shackled. He can't do anything.
Obama, I think, is really great as a president. I think he's really great.
Well, he's all other politicians. He's also a politician, and he might be better than maybe appear to be better than some of the other ones.
He's better
but
than
at the end of the day,
Better, yeah.
but at the end of the day, he's still sanctioning like a lot of things that are terrible. So
I mean, he's not perfect, but I think he's good.
he's better. That's why I said better than the rest.
Yeah.
Better than Trump. My God.
Oh my God.
Better than Bush.
He's a lesser of two.
At least
evils,
Trump isn't going to get
essentially, right?
elected. But Bush was elected.
Well, if you guys get a chance, search up Dolan Trump. It's the best. The best
Okay.
comic.
Anyways,
Dolan.
going back to how to get a gun in Canada. So just really quick.
Here's how you do it.
A step-by-step
one.
guide by Mr. Atif.
Maybe outside in the alley. Just tell me what kind of gun you want. Anyways, there's 3 kinds of guns in Canada. So there's what's called prohibited, restricted, and non-restricted. So firearms that would fall under prohibited are like AK-47, sawed-off rifles, shotguns. The AR-15s that were used in the San Bernardino attack, those would fall under prohibited. So there's like no way that a Canadian can have that gun. And so if let's say a Canadian were to get a gun, the way to do it is you must have a valid license under the Firearms Act, which you can look up for yourself. And all the applicants must undergo a screening process, which includes a safety course, criminal history, background checks, the whole works. And you can see that this works because Canada has less than 8 times the shootings that the U.S. has. And the U.S. last year had 2015... 2012, the U.S. had 8,800 murders,
Homicide.
firearm related.
Oh.
So this is homicides. These weren't accidents, and like there's a lot of accident related deaths as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about 9,000. Let's just round that up. And Canada in the same year recorded 200. It's actually 170, but I rounded up just to be fair. And it's 200. 200 is still a lot.
I mean, if you go by population size, Canada is about 10 times less populous than America.
It's
that's-
it's still a lot, right?
And that's, if you just scale it down, 9,000 divided by 10, 900. Even then, we don't have 900, we have 200. So you can tell that there's a big issue there.
There's a big issue.
I remember there was a picture I saw, and I can't remember what the exact caption was or something, but it was like, it had 2 kids standing side by side. One was holding an assault rifle, another was holding a Kinder Surprise, and it's like, one of these things is banned in America, the other is an assault rifle or something like that.
Oh, that's awesome. Why is a Kinder Surprise banned?
It's because there was they made a big fuss about the fact that there's a toy inside the candy.
can choke on it.
Think that the kids will choke on the
Dude,
toy.
what? How do you...
So
When you bite into a Kinder Egg,
yeah.
how do you take that? How much of a bite are you taking?
I don't think you have. I
Can't
don't
get
think
enough of
kids
that
have
hazelnut,
enough.
man.
I don't think kids have enough force in their jaw to be able to break through the plastic.
Not even that. You have to swallow the whole
You
egg.
have to swallow the whole egg. That's the only way.
Hey man, I don't know about you, but I want to do that sometimes.
Going back to the gun talk there. It's
We're talking about Kinder Surprise.
yeah. I don't know how we
did that
got to that,
happen?
guys. That's awesome. Everybody loves a good surprise once in a while. So, I mean, it's one thing that it's so easy for Americans to get guns, but at the same time, there's such a lack of education for the people that do have guns, right? Where to keep them, how to keep them protected. How many times do you hear 3-year-old infants that grab their dad's gun and shot themselves?
This is actually very common.
Shoot
and
their
I
dad,
didn't-
actually.
Yeah.
I didn't think this was very common, and then I read a stat that was and I'm totally this is not true at all, or it could be. I'm just guessing. It was 3 infants a day. 3 infants a day die. 3 infants a day die from accidental firearm deaths.
That
And,
sounds quite large.
That's 3 kids.
There was a lot of times on the news that I heard even kid grabs gun, shoots friend. It happens, right? And this is just because there's just a lack of education of how to even handle your guns, how to handle it. So there you go.
It blows my mind. I don't have nothing else to say other than it blows my mind.
Well, I think another thing too, bringing it back, I guess, a little bit to that New York Times article where it says, God isn't fixing this. I mean, I kind of you can read that 2 ways. You can read that as either people these people are just giving empty platitudes to run on, or some people might think well, maybe God should fix this, right? But the thing is that I know this is slightly diverging from the topic, but it's something that's kind of been on my mind a little bit. It's the fact that whenever you see bad stuff happening in the world, people are always oh well, people will say God doesn't exist because of all the famine that's going on. It's well, if God wanted to, he really could just come and fix everything. But then what does that leave us? That totally takes away the aspect of human responsibility, right?
And free choice.
And free choice, right? I mean, we should be the ones fixing these problems. I mean, the fact that like there's enough food in America to pretty much like feed almost the world, and the fact that people just like
thrown away actually.
and throw that's right, there's enough food thrown away in America to feed like a lot of the world. I mean, there's a huge imbalance there, and so like yes, when we see these terrible things that are happening, like yes, it is like upsetting, and it sometimes can shake your faith even. But then at the same time too, you have to remember that, you know, just because bad stuff's happening, like, doesn't mean that like God doesn't exist or anything like that. It's happening because we kind of made it happen. We as humans, right?
Very true.
It's actually philosophically that's known as the problem of evil, and the way kind of I don't like. I'm just going off of my own thoughts, but from the lectures and stuff that I've heard, but. The Islamic answer, I guess, to the problem of evil is that you have evil so that you can have good. So you have, if terrible things happen, then you see on the opposite end of the spectrum, you see like people banding together and helping each other. That's like they brings out the very best in humanity. So, for example, like in Chennai right now, there's some flooding going on, and about 300 people have died so far. And from what I've seen from my friend, like I have a friend who lives in Bangalore, and he's been posting things about how the mosques open their doors to anyone who wants to come, and they're cooking food, and what they're doing is that there's actually pictures of about 5 or 6 men. They're wading in like waist deep water, really dirty water, and they have this like massive pot or like cauldron. And they have like I think it's biryani inside there. I'm not sure, but it's like that's what they used to be biryani back home, man.
We're gonna touch someone.
But it's like they're floating it on the water, and then they're just like going to each house where people are stranded, and they're giving them food because they can't get food otherwise.
That's
And that's like would you be able to see all these acts of kindness and acts of like amazing humanity if it weren't for the fact that
very true.
Like tragedies happen.
Yeah.
I remember there was like a Bob Ross. You guys know who Bob Ross is?
Yeah.
The painter.
The painter.
He on
the
his
guy
show,
with the afro?
The
guy with the afro?
Trees.
Yeah.
The guy with the afro.
He had a quote or something like about part of a show. He was like, "We need sad moments so we can appreciate happy moments," right?
Yeah.
And so like, but this is like side note. It was really cool. I was like, and then someone captioned it and was like, "Who broke Bob Ross's heart?" Because he was like, "We need sad moments to appreciate happy moments." And I need to pray, and I'm going through that right now, or like something like that, right? So someone's like, "Who made Bob Ross so sad?" But like, I looked into it, and the date of that aired episode was right after his wife died.
Oh no!
Oh wow! Right after.
Not like a second after.
But yeah, I know.
But like,
Atif later
couple
painted
days
a
after.
beautiful evergreen tree after.
I'm so bad at
with his
it.
top 2 unbuttons done on his shirt.
You know it, but like, they weren't calm trees. They were quite angry.
Like the Whomping Willow from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
You guys remember that?
Can we talk about some feel good stuff?
Yeah.
Harry
down.
Potter.
Let's get some feel.
Okay. Oh, here's something cool. Is this okay, Cher?
Absolutely.
Our host?
I would like to. I would like some feels.
You remember that Syrian
I like the
refugee who there was a picture of him in Lebanon selling pens with his daughter.
Yeah.
He's
So
running his
he's
own
now
3 businesses.
he's running 3 businesses. So he has like a kebab shop, he has a bakery, and he has like some restaurant.
restaurant, yeah.
And he like employs a ton of refugees. It's so cool. It's like the coolest thing. And like his daughter's healthy, his son's going to school again.
When
Cool
did
meals.
this particular refugee family come here?
I
not
don't know.
here. No,
Is he in
they're-
Canada?
No, they're
No,
not.
they're in Lebanon.
They're in
Or-
Lebanon, yeah.
Okay, when did they come to Lebanon then?
I have no idea.
I
but
think that picture came out last year.
the reason why he's become like so successful is because of crowdfunding. They've raised like $250,000 for him. So, talking about like these happy moments and sad moments, like the contrast, crowdfunding has become such a nice source of helping people out. Where it's like I'm going through something. If you want to help me out, here's a link. And then like sometimes people who just like want a meal, like I saw this link who was like, this guy wanted to order food. It was like a homeless dude who wanted to like an internet cafe. He's like, I'm homeless. I want a meal for tomorrow. I didn't get to eat today. And they raised like $500 for this. He was asking 200. I mean, he was asking 20. Sorry.
You know, it's another classic example that Zaki mentioned earlier. Whenever calamities or bad things happen, it does give us an opportunity to do something good, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's exactly actions by intentions. It gives you an opportunity to do that. So no, I'm really happy for that family.
And like, going off of that, I think there's like the modernity kind of has
Modernity?
Modernity.
Is it a word?
Modern world. It's a word. God.
It's a word.
But-
Aaron,
It's a
ruling?
word.
It's a word.
Nice. Continue.
So modernity kind of has created so many opportunities for you to do good. Like really, there is no excuse for you to not do
Really?
good. Do some good. Like
Well, I think we're
And
under the
there's
impression
so many
that
different ways.
no good is happening. I think the problem is that all that's
yeah, there's a lot
advertised
of-
and that sells is what's bad. No one wants to see on the news. Like,
And this again, like we're so good with tying topics together.
Yes, we are.
It's like the whole Muslim.
We're good.
Let's end it here. The whole Muslim thing. The reason why you always hear about terrorists in Islam and not the good guys in Islam and stuff like that is because you don't want to hear about Zeki, who like is a full-time student or whatever, and like volunteers and has a boring life. You want to hear about the guy who's like exploding himself in crowds of people because
That's
it's more
unfortunate,
entertaining. Apparently, it's what sells.
Here, I'll give you like a great example of. I think I might have already done this in the first podcast, but anyways, the day that the Paris attacks happened, the night before, we actually had a free movie screening of a movie called Tug of War. By the way, you should check it out. It's really cool, like Muslim made movie.
Well, you can't
feature film.
you can't check it out unless you invite him to show it at your
No, I think
city or something.
Okay, well, I don't know. Anyways, whatever. Wherever it goes, just
Watch the
check it.
trailer on YouTube. Tug of
Something.
War.
Yeah, just watch the trailer. And we had a free screening of that movie. About 500 people showed up. There was like a discussion with the main actor and Sheikh Naved Aziz from Calgary, discussing radicalization and just extremism in general in Islam, outside Islam, wherever. And the fact that it was such a great discussion, there was only one TV station there, even though that was kind of partially the organizers like our fault. But we did contact a lot of the TV stations, and only like Global News I think came out to it. And then either way, regardless of that, it was all overshadowed anyways by the Paris attacks afterward.
And not just that, we had we are all frequent attendees of a Rahma Mosque, Mac Center, whatever. And we had an open house that same day. It was the same day, right? We had an open house, and it was
Or
great.
like the same,
Like-
very close to that date.
No, it was that day.
Was that
It was
day?
that day. So
Yeah, that's right.
we were having an open house. Ton of TV stations were here, like 3, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think none of it got aired. I think it was all overshowered.
No, it was
overshowered.
What's happening to that thing?
Overshowered? Yeah, when you shower too much. And
I have that problem.
I meant
sometimes.
overshadowed.
Yeah, actually, me too.
Smell too good.
Wow. No, but it wasn't. No, it was aired. But the thing is that because of that news, it was just all like tied into that big kind of news item.
Well, and then also we had the Friday prayers at the Federal Building last
Oh.
week, which
Yeah,
there was a
last
lot of attendees there. There was a lot of news stations there, and that one was a very positive news story because one thing that always bugs me, and from someone who's worked to some capacity with media, this idea that the media is always evil, that the media is always out to get Muslims.
Oh,
Like this
no, I don't think
this
so.
overarching paranoia that a lot of Muslims have, that anything media, it's evil. They're gonna, they're just here to expose us or something. But like the media can actually be they can be good, and they can actually be a good ally if you
Exactly.
actually open up to them,
Uh-huh.
right?
Absolutely.
Totally.
And I think, sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
go.
No. I was actually just I was gonna segue into one of our topics.
ahead.
Please, if you have anything to finish, let me know. But I think it's a great segue into the discussion that I wanted to have today, especially when it comes to, you were discussing faith faltering because of certain things in the media and things like that. So the topic that I wanted to discuss was deen and dunya. So what that basically is our faith and our worldly life. And what I really wanted to get into was how the worldly life can affect our faith, whether it be through media, whether it be through people we surround ourselves with, or just the entertainment that we choose, right? So hopefully after this discussion, we can kind of pinpoint what negatively impacts our faith. And maybe we can offer some solutions through personal experiences as well that we have faced. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because this is obviously a struggle that I face in my daily life, right? I'm exposed to the worldly life.
Totally.
So this is definitely a reminder to myself first, and all of the listeners second. So I think it's safe to say that good character, something that assists us in strong faith, is character. And I think it's safe to say that good character goes hand in hand with having a strong faith as well. Having good character is so stressed in Islam and so many other religions. And even if you don't follow a certain faith, it's so important in your daily life because it's how you build your relations, it's how you fit into school, it's how you fit in at work and things like that, right? So the things that we're exposed to can affect our character, which can affect our faith. Now, sorry, I'm just going to give a quick example here. And this is a terrible example, but it comes to me.
You're a terrible example.
Is he gonna say Lil Wayne?
No, Lil Wayne is like totally last
He's gone?
week's
Lil Wayne?
He's gone. He's gonna
Talk
come
about
again.
Cher then.
The singer.
The one that I'm going to discuss, and maybe some of you guys know this or not, but it was a cartoon that viewed on Teletoon, and it was Johnny Bravo.
Dude,
Okay.
are you kidding?
Okay, here, let me
I
tell
love
you
that
about
show.
John. Yeah, we all loved him. Okay, so the point is that the basic premise of the show was this like attractive buff male with like blonde hair, and I still call him to this day the original D-bag. Like I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but I just did.
You literally said
He is. He is.
I already said it. So he invented D-bagness. And the basic premise of the show, the objective was him hitting on girls and macking on them, but being very crude, being very rude. And it was very sexist almost, right?
I want to retract my statement about loving that show. I wasn't really a fan. I was forced to watch it.
Wow. Okay.
It was court ordered. So basically, yeah. Now, the reason I brought that up and becoming with character and things like that is that was basically my first exposure to finding out how to talk to girls. Believe it or not, right?
Yeah.
And that obviously in my faith and my religion, respecting others is a huge part, right? But this was my exposure to how to speak to. Probably explains why I had no friends who were girls growing up. But yeah, that's just
What?
It's like I still don't.
Wow.
So
in the
yeah, that's
feels.
just a quick example of one thing that we're exposed to in this worldly life that can have an effect on your faith. Now there's a lot of other aspects. I don't know if you guys have something you can share.
Just something to share.
I knew, like, you guys can't stop, can you?
No, I am. I mean, but that's a really old pun. Anyways, I can't think of a really good example right now, but I want to just talk quickly about like what you said about character, and like that strengthening your relationship with like others, Allah, whatever, right? It's literally just character, just the character of a Muslim that really made me, like, obviously I'm born Muslim and all this. What really made me want to pursue finding out more about Islam and like becoming a better Muslim was the character that Muslims all like portray or kind of like that. So like really like when I started practicing, and I say that with finger quotes, I just literally acted like what I thought a Muslim should act like. I was like always nice and like this is what, forget Muslim, a good human being, right?
Right.
Always nice to people, like respecting your elders, respecting like everyone.
Looking fresh.
Huh?
Looking fresh.
Looking fresh.
Still don't do that.
I still can't look fresh. I have really weird hair. I think that's what it is.
I think Cher's on point with that.
Yeah, Cher's got that
Oh,
down.
thanks,
I'll
guys.
talk to Cher later.
Oh, wow.
But really, it's the character that really made me want to be Muslim, I think it is. Because, like, growing up, I was always like, man, why am... Like, there's so many things that hold me back. Like, I want to...
Are you rapping? There's many things
You need
holding
to
me
drop the
back.
beat, bro?
Bro, I'm just saying, like,
Okay.
me whining as a little kid.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
like,
absolutely.
me being a Muslim, like, I have to follow this and this, and, like, why can't I do that, what I want to do? And then, like, it was literally the character of a Muslim that made me want to be a Muslim. So, like, I think that's my favorite part about Islam, too. The whole dunya thing, it's, like, it's a constant everyday struggle for me. It's, like, for me, when I think of dunya, it's just, like, worldly stuff, just buying things or, like, things about this world that won't ever affect
Video
you.
Not
Not really. I'm not that big of a video game person.
Shut down.
Lock it down. I got your back, Seki.
Yeah.
Aaron's about that. Video games are the best. I buy like 40 of them every day. But
Those
recently,
sales.
He also reads, guys.
so like I've been talking for a while. I'm gonna end with this one. My dad is like a huge role model for me, and he's always like taught me since I was little that like this world it matters, but not as much as you're gonna think it is when you grow up. And so I can like confidently say I'm very proud that I hate shopping. When I go to a mall, I know what I'm doing. As I walk through the doors, I run in, get it, run out. I hate being in a mall. And, like, that's a point of pride with me. Because, like, my dad is the same thing. Me and my dad, when we go shopping, it's 2 minutes. When my mom and sister are there, it's, like, 3 hours. Sorry to roast my mother, but it's true.
Oh, to that point.
But, yeah, my dad really just instilled that in me. And, like, I think I, like, owe him so much for it. Because, like, really, I know so many people that just like when they're sad they go shopping, or like when they're feeling down they want to buy something.
Or they eat.
Yeah,
That's the other one.
I think too, like your family is definitely like kind of your starting point for what your character is going to be like. Speaking from my own experience, I grew up and I always like looked up to my dad as well. Like, you know, I always, you know, admired
Aaron,
that he could.
my dad can beat up your dad.
Hey, nice call back. So too. Anyway, so yeah, I always looked up to my dad because like he always seemed like he knew what to do in every situation, right? Like he was always like very calm, very controlled. I always looked up to that. And my mom, like I can definitely say that my mom, she even she instilled a lot of, I guess, like the moral values that I hold. And then, you know, I like there's a like I can't remember if I mentioned this on the podcast already. There was the incident where I was playing the game and then I was showing my mom how to play the game.
No.
Yes, you did mention
I did
that
mention
story.
it, yeah. Okay, so I won't mention it again. It was in episode 1.
I don't remember hearing about this. I must tune you
Now
out.
you have to share it.
Maybe you should re-listen to episode 1 then.
I was there.
You listened to it like 12 times out there.
Yeah, I edited it.
But then even too, like my brother, who also happens to be in the room with us. So my brother has autism, and so growing up with a brother who is autistic presented its own challenges as well. Particularly in the fact that, you know, there was always kind of like a barrier with communication with my brother, right? And why are you looking at underwear, Cher?
There's a sale going on.
Oh my god! I looked at Cher, and I like looked at confused, like, what are you doing? And he looked at me. He looked at me dead in the eyes. He was like, "Sale."
I'm so sorry, Aaron. But
Go ahead, Aaron.
Okay, yeah, no problem. So yeah, like with my brother, like growing up with a brother who has autism, like that definitely teaches you patience. Patience is really a big thing that came with him, and then also too, like a big blessing. Like in all honesty, like my brother having autism, like that's actually been a great blessing on our family because it's really kept our family together. Like my parents and I, like wherever, like we never felt that we needed to treat my brother differently than any other kid. Like if we went somewhere, we'd take him with us. We go out to dinner, he comes with us. He goes skiing, he does skating, he's
cooler than you.
He's cooler than me, that's for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, and so like, you know,
There's not a lot of criteria that goes into being cooler than Aaron.
That's true. I'm sorry.
that's okay. Yeah, so like so yeah,
I didn't even get a laugh on that. Are you guys like?
it was slightly
You
harsh.
guys
I
agree
feel.
with me?
Like a little chuckle.
It was a little bit. Like you got a little chuckle.
I
there.
wanted to roast Aaron just once.
You
No
should
one
get a
roasts
sou- you
Aaron.
should get a
He
sound.
looks too
no one
friendly.
roasts me. Like, come on,
Aaron,
come on, guys.
you are
If I can dish it, I can take it.
you
guys gotta roast
are
me more, okay?
not as smart as you think you are.
Oh, good one.
Oh, yes.
We need a
Burn.
soundboard for you, man. Like an applause.
You know,
like in the
like
back.
the siren and like rap songs, like da-da-da-da.
or the horn, the fog horn.
yeah.
DJ Atif in the mix. But yeah, no, I think Aaron brings up a great point. Is when our faith does start to falter, I think it's incredibly important that you have that patience built up, right? I've noticed that anytime that my faith falters, it takes time. It takes time to get it back to where it was. But if your faith is strong enough and you have patience, then you know what? It tends to come back a little stronger, no matter what you've kind of experienced. So I think patience is definitely a huge part, and a great solution that you can give to people is that it just takes time. Yeah.
And on top of patience, I think what's equally as important, if not more important, is having a really good support system as well. Because when your faith falters, if you're alone, it's so easy for you to just like go astray. Is that
No,
right?
I think you're right.
You
and
either go one end or another. So if you don't have a good support system, you can either go off and just leave the faith altogether.
If you don't have a good support system, email us. We'll be your for $9.95 a month.
For the low price of $9.95.
That's
You
a
can
start.
have a friend.
If you want like pro level, it's like $50 a month. We'll like come to your wedding, whatever.
We'll dance for 100.
I guess another one on top of that is like having someone to ask questions to, and as well to like seek a bit of knowledge as well.
Yeah.
Especially with the lights of things going on social media and like the news and this and that.
Yeah.
With everything so negative, it's important to understand
I think
Islam and know that, because at this point, it's like people who don't have, and like I'm not saying I have any knowledge at all, but people who don't have much knowledge, like it's so excessive, the negativity, that You start to believe it.
Yeah. You know what's really... This could be a blessing in disguise as well. With all the things that are going on, maybe you ask a question that just happens to light something in your brain and really, like, puts your butt in gear. This is like... You know how they say, like, Allah knows best? Like, this could be the best thing to happen for someone. Worst thing to happen.
No, you're right. I mean, they do say there's barakah in everything that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does, right?
Yeah.
And kind of, I guess summing everything up there, faith falters, and we are exposed to so much in this worldly life. Two of the things that we discussed is, educating ourselves with everything that is being exposed to us, educate ourselves, get the right information, also surround ourselves with good people, right? That could be two solutions to faith faltering.
I've been trying to think of an example as good as that Johnny Bravo one, but
Can you beat that, though?
You really hit the nail on the head. You really
did hit the nail.
Will I hit you on the head?
Why would you do that to the host?
I don't.
Yeah.
I thought it'd be a good thing.
I
to
have
say.
host diplomatic immunity right now. When it's your turn,
When it's my turn,
you're protected.
Don't speak until
And I
you're
read Fajr,
spoken
so you
to.
can't.
Hey, I drove to another masjid and read Fajr in congregation. Fight me.
Okay, we all read Fajr and we're fighting about it. Like,
Yeah, I know, right?
I prayed more rakat than you. That's wrong!
my Fajr was harder work than yours.
But yeah, I was gonna say, in terms of like the dunya and like religion,
Do you have a good example, Zaki?
good example.
Can you beat
of
Johnny
that?
Bravo?
Yeah,
Can
I
someone
do.
beat-
Of course, I do.
Can we all think about beating Johnny Bravo here? Don't let Johnny Bravo win, guys.
Okay, I'll beat Johnny Bravo.
You can't beat him up.
I'll just draw him being beaten up then. But yeah, I was saying that a good example of like where these two things clash is like the topic of reasonable accommodation, especially in workplaces. So
Sorry.
in workplaces. So
What is that?
reasonable accommodation.
What is that?
Yeah, what is
Oh
that?
my God! Let me finish.
Okay.
So reasonable accommodation is basically you if you're like, for example, if you're in your workplace, you're working. Where do you like? Where's the line drawn for where you can practice your religion freely and where like you should be working, kind of thing, right? So the best example of that is like the 5 daily prayers. If you're at work and like the time for the Dhuhr comes in or Asr comes in or whatever, then what do? Like some people say that you like just wait, get home and then pray. That's one thing, and then the second thing is. You know what? You could just like, and the other extreme is that you just go take like 1 hour, make your like your perfect salah, all like not everything, and then you come back and then you work for like the next half an hour and then leave.
Yeah.
Prayer is a funny thing to talk about because, like, with me, like for the past, I think 2-3 years ago, my biggest problem was that, like, as much as I wanted to pray, I couldn't get myself to go and pray. It was like my biggest problem ever. I'd do everything else. Like I would fast, read
Like at
Quran,
work?
whatever. No. Like anywhere,
in general.
like, in the
Okay.
masjid, right? And so like it was like my biggest problem. I just couldn't do it for some reason, right? And then like I just read these things. I like searched up online, which is like the worst thing to do. I was like, why can't I pray, right? So like it was like talking about all this is like believe it or not, this is a huge problem. Like don't worry about it. So what worked for me, it might not work for like any listener that might have the same problem, or like any of yourself that might have the same problem, is like the reason I think I couldn't pray that well is because for me, I can't understand Arabic, right? So like I'm literally standing there hearing gibberish and just standing there and standing still and then moving when I'm instructed to do so. That's what it was for me, right? And so I had to just like, I'll let you go in a second.
Yeah.
I had to like put it in my head like, you're doing this because you love Allah. It's literally why you're doing it. That's the only reason. Don't forget everything else, it'll come. And like slowly, it wasn't even, you don't have to start praying at work is what I'm trying to get at. If you can pray once or twice a day as opposed to 0 times a day, you're making an upgrade and you'll get rewarded for it, no doubt. And if that once or twice turns into 3, which turns into 4, which turns into 5, you're like amazing. Like that's a tough difficulty to overcome.
I agree. Aaron, you
Yeah.
had something to mention there?
Yeah, just a short little thing. You mentioned that when you were praying in Arabic, like it was hard for you to kind of like it was hard for you to feel connected to your prayer because you didn't understand it, right? And so like for me, when I first started like learning how to pray and everything, I prayed like everything in English, like I didn't know that
I wanted to do that.
Yeah, and like I didn't know that it had to be in Arabic. So like I memorized everything in English, and then when it was like, oh well, I have to do it in Arabic. So I'd memorize how to pronounce it in Arabic. Like I'd pray with the book in front of me.
Yeah.
But then because I'd been doing it in English, like I kind of knew what I was saying at least.
Okay.
But I know that's actually a problem for a lot of people. The fact that when they pray and when they recite, they don't know exactly what they're saying, and so like there's that kind of disconnect, right? It does become a bit more of like a mechanical act of worship, right? So I think like understanding what you're saying, like memorizing Surah Al-Fatiha at least, like in Arabic, and then like in English, even like memorize it in English, so that you at least understand like that main opening prayer, right? I think that can definitely help out a lot.
Oh, it's great. I think that goes back to patience again, right? Is everything takes time for you to kind of understand what you're doing. Everything takes time. Like you said before, you could maybe only pray once, but with patience, you started doing 2, 3, 4, 5.
You know, funny story. My dad, when I was young, he would always make acronyms that didn't make sense just so I would remember it. So his favorite one was CPP. So concentrate, practice, patience. Ooh. And I've like applied it to my life, and every single time my dad can't do something, I'm like, Dad, call him baby, CPP, and he just laughs so hard
because you called him baby.
No, why would he laugh after 17 years of me calling him something, Zeki?
Yeah,
do you ever think what you say?
Just
were you talking since when you were born, or like?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I think that's great. I think we went through a lot today. We learned a lot about patience, faith, gun control, and things like that.
Oh, I went through a lot too. Yeah.
Yeah. So we also learned not to watch Johnny Bravo. So I think I'm gonna end it here, guys. This is Cher.
What?
You're supposed to say your name now.
I'm Atif.
Zeki.
Hamid.
Aaron?
Signing off. Assalamu alaikum. Thanks for joining us.
Nice.